Sunlight pours through the bay windows of my parents' formal dining room, glinting off crystal glasses like scattered prisms. The familiar weight of tradition settles over me as I smooth the burgundy linen napkin across my lap. The savory scent of Mom's pot roast lingers in the air while Dad stands at the head of the gleaming mahogany table, carving the meat with practiced ease. Each slice lands neatly on the Wedgwood china he saves for Sunday dinners. "Just a small piece for me, Dad," I say, only to watch him ignore my request and lay a hearty portion on my plate. "You're too thin, Gabrielle," he remarks without glancing up. "Always have been." I'm on the verge of reminding him that at 38, I'm more than capable of deciding my own serving sizes when the front door suddenly bursts open. The calm scene fractures as my sister Vanessa strides in with her husband, Mark, and their 3 kids. In an instant, the room swells with chaos. Backpacks thudding to the floor, children squabbling over chairs, Mark's heavy footsteps trailing behind. "Sorry we're late," Vanessa declares, not sounding the least bit sorry. Her eyes sparkle with a restless excitement that immediately unsettles me. Traffic was awful by the outlet mall. "You went shopping before Sunday dinner?" I ask, but my question drowns beneath Mom's enthusiastic greeting of her grandchildren. Dad catches Vanessa's eye and nods slightly. A silent exchange that tightens something in my chest. I recognize that look, the conspiratorial glance they've shared since we were kids, usually right before I discovered I was the only one not included in some family plan. "Well, we're all here now," Mom says, patting the table. "Charles finished serving, so let's eat while it's hot." We fall into the usual rhythm of passing dishes and trading small talk. Mom asks about my latest architectural project. Dad quizzes Mark about the stock market. The kids grumble off and on about the vegetables on their plates. Then Vanessa cuts through the chatter, her voice sharp against the dining room hum. "We're moving into your lake house next week. Our place has some foundation issues." My fork stops halfway to my mouth. "What?" "It's just sitting empty anyway," she says. "Gabrielle," Dad interjects, his tone casual, but his eyes sharp. "I get the blue bedroom," Vanessa's oldest son announces, bouncing in his chair. "No fair. Mom said I could have that one," his sister protests. Their bickering fades to background noise as the truth sinks in. The kids already staked out rooms. This wasn't spur of the moment. They'd planned this, discussed it, decided it, before I even sat down at the table. "Your lake house has plenty of space," Mom adds, like that ends the matter. "And they won't be there forever." 6 years. I've spent 6 years restoring that lakeside property, for $20,000 to buy it, plus another $95,000 in essential repairs. 3 years ago, when flood damage hit, I handled it on my own while they vacationed in the Caribbean. I spent weeks salvaging hardwood floors and replacing drywall. That house isn't just real estate, it's where I rebuilt myself after the divorce, where I learned to sleep without checking the locks 3 times, where I finally started to breathe again. "Family helps family," Vanessa says, her voice carrying the cadence of a rehearsed speech. "We'd do the same for you. It's just 7 months until the foundation work is done," Dad adds. Mark stares at his plate, the silence around him saying more than words ever could. I set my napkin down beside my plate, a small but deliberate movement that draws every eye to me. Something shifts inside me, a clarity that feels both unexpected and long overdue. "Gabrielle, you're always so particular about your things," Mom says, waving off my unspoken objection. "This is what families do." "We help each other," Dad echoes, his tone slipping into that condescending register he always uses when he thinks I'm being unreasonable. Vanessa's lips curve into a smug smile, growing wider as she senses another victory. It's the same pattern. She takes, I give, and our parents make it possible. Not this time. I reach for my handbag, pull out a crisp manila folder, and place it on the table. "The contractors start Monday," I say, opening the folder to reveal renovation contracts and city permits. Each page bearing my signature and dates from 3 months ago. It's a complete 9-month renovation. Everything down to the studs. Silence descends over the table, thick and sudden. Dad's knife hovers over the roast. Mom's water glass remains suspended halfway to her lips. Vanessa's smile collapses. I take a slow, deliberate sip of water, surprised by the calm in my hand as I raise the glass. The crystal catches the light, throwing tiny rainbows across the tablecloth. Beautiful sharp-edged prisms that no one else seems to notice. Silence chokes the dining room as I watch realization bloom across my family's faces. The manila folder with renovation contracts sits between us like a loaded gun. Dad's knife remains suspended above the roast. Mom's water glass frozen halfway to her lips. For once, Vanessa's practiced smile has shattered. "You can't be serious," Vanessa finally says, her voice climbing an octave. "We've already given notice at our apartment. Where are we supposed to go?" I take another sip of water, using the moment to catalog the long history of Vanessa's entitled flashing through my mind. The time she borrowed my car for a weekend trip that stretched to 2 months when she returned it. The cracked windshield was supposedly already like that. The small $3,000 loan that somehow swelled into 18 grand, still unpaid after 6 years. The spare key to my apartment she had made without asking, which I only discovered when I caught her using my shower one day. "You'll need to find another place," I say, my voice steadier than I thought it would be. The contractors arrive Monday. Gabrielle. Dad sets down his carving knife, dropping any pretense of continuing dinner. His corporate negotiator's tone slips into place, the same voice he uses with difficult clients. "Be reasonable here. Your sister has 3 kids, and the house has foundation problems," Mom chimes in quickly, nodding along. "You can't expect them to live in unsafe conditions." "I don't," I answer. "I expect them to figure out their own solution, one that doesn't involve taking mine." Vanessa's eyes narrow as she trades a look with Dad. I know that silent exchange well, the same one they shared when, at 16, I found out they'd drained my college fund to pay for Vanessa's wedding. The rehearsed pressure campaign is so predictable, I could recite it myself. But we've already started packing. Vanessa's tone pivots, shifting from entitled to pleading. "Right on schedule. The moving truck is scheduled for Monday morning. This will break your father's heart," Mom whispers, reaching for Dad's hand in theatrical solidarity. My phone buzzes on my lap. A text from Miguel, my contractor. "All materials delivered. We're ready for Monday morning, 7 a.m. sharp." A notification follows. "Smart lock system active." Something warm unfurls in my chest. Not anger, not anxiety. Confidence. While they were planning their ambush, I was preparing. The security company finished installation last week. The renovation permits are filed and approved. I've done everything by the book. What about storage for our furniture? Mark speaks for the first time, still studying his plate. "We could at least store things in the garage temporarily. The garage is being converted to a home gym." I say it plainly. Everything's being stripped to the studs. "You'll regret putting renovations ahead of family." Vanessa hisses, tears welling on cue. I've seen this act before at holidays, at birthdays, anytime things don't go her way. The tears arrive and vanish with suspicious precision. Dad leans forward, his voice dropping. "Gabrielle, you know this could affect certain decisions about the future. The inheritance threat." Right on cue. "What about the children?" Mom's voice rises, polished with rehearsed distress. "They'll be homeless." I fold the napkin on my lap, each crease sharp and exact. I feel the weight of their expectations, their lifetime of demands wrapped in the disguise of family duty, pressing against me. But it no longer crushes me. Poor planning on your part doesn't create an emergency on mine. I meet Dad's eyes. Recognition flickers across his face, his own words, the mantra he's repeated for decades to clients who failed to prepare, now turned back on him. I stand, lifting my purse and the manila folder. "I've honored my contractual obligations. Now you need to honor my boundaries." "Sit down, Gabrielle." Dad's voice hardens. "We're not finished here. I am Vanessa's oldest son." He looks up from his plate, confused by the tension. "But I already told my friends about my new lake house." "Bedroom." "It's not your bedroom," I say gently, "and it's not your lake house." I walk toward the door, my footsteps echoing across the hardwood. The family scrambles behind me, a chorus of protests and demands, but I don't turn back. The front door shuts behind me with a quiet click that somehow feels more final than a slam. Outside, the crisp autumn air fills my lungs. I head to my car, refusing to glance toward the dining room window where the curtain shifts, Mom watching me go. Before I even back out of the driveway, my phone lights up with Dad's number. By the time I hit the highway, there are 12 missed calls. It's only once I'm alone on the interstate, 20 miles of distance behind me, that the tremors start. My hands shake against the steering wheel, adrenaline crashing hard, shallow breaths, unsteady fingers. But beneath the physical reaction, my determination holds firm. I pull into a rest stop and dial Miguel. When he answers, I tell him the security system needs to be fully operational by tomorrow morning. And could you move the dumpsters in front of the garage doors? I'm worried about unauthorized access. Already done, he replies, amusement in his voice. After the flood damage repairs, I figured your family might try something. My grip tightens on the phone. He remembers. He remembers how I managed those emergency repairs alone 3 years ago, while the rest of them were off sailing the Caribbean. The locks are changed, Miguel continues. And we've got cameras at every entry point. The shaking in my hands eases. I'm not alone in this. Thank you, I say. I'll see you Monday morning. As I end the call, a new text from Vanessa flashes across the screen. Dad's furious. Fix this now. I silence the phone and set it face down on the passenger seat. The evening sky deepens to indigo above the highway as I pull back onto the road, heading home, not to the lake house. That's becoming something else now. Something entirely mine, but to the apartment where I've learned to sleep through the night without checking the locks 3 times. Tomorrow they'll escalate. I know this with absolute certainty, but for the first time in our shared history, I'm prepared. Monday morning of the next week arrives with the rumble of an engine that doesn't belong. I pause at my kitchen window, coffee mug suspended halfway to my lips, watching a moving truck lumbering up my lakeside property's narrow gravel drive. The burgundy logo on its side matches the color of Vanessa's lipstick. At that awful Sunday dinner, my phone vibrates against the counter. 5th call from Dad since sunrise. I silence it without checking. I gather the folder of permits I'd shown at Sunday dinner. The weight in my hands feels different now, solid, like armor instead of paper. By the time I reach the lake house, Ray and his crew have already set up a perimeter of orange safety cones. Sawhorses block the driveway, forcing the moving truck to idle on the road. I pull in behind Ray's pickup and step out into the crisp autumn air laced with pine and chainsaw exhaust. Ms. Morgan Ray nods, clipboard in hand, flanked by 6 workers in hard hats. Permits are posted as required. Interior stripping starts in 30 minutes. Thank you. I scan the property. Looks like we've got unexpected company. Ray's weathered face stays professional. They showed up about 10 minutes ago. Said they had your permission to move in today. The truck's door swings open. Vanessa steps out, designer sunglasses pushed on top of her head. Her face flushes deeper when her eyes land on me. What the hell is going on? She strides toward me, jabbing a finger at the equipment. Your men won't let our movers in. I meet her halfway, keeping enough distance that her words carry across the yard. The security guard I hired stands calmly beside Ray, a steady presence. As I explained to you last Sunday, I hold up the permits. Renovations begin today. The property isn't habitable during construction. You can't be serious. Vanessa's voice rises, drawing stares from the workers. We've already given notice at our place. Where are we supposed to go? I withdraw an envelope from my bag. This might help. It's a 6-month contract for a storage unit. Already paid in full. Finally, she stares at the envelope, but doesn't take it. Storage. We need a place to live, not just a place to stash our things. Your housing situation isn't my responsibility, Vanessa. The words come out easier than I thought they would. These foundation problems didn't appear overnight. You've had time to plan. Her eyes narrow, scanning my face for weakness. Finding none, she pivots toward the house. I still have a key. We'll work around your little project. That won't be happening. I follow at a calm pace as she marches to the front door. Vanessa shoves her key into the lock. Nothing. She tries again, twisting harder. "Welcome to Secure Home Systems," chirps the robotic voice from the small speaker by the door. "Unauthorized entry attempt detected at main entrance. Alerting property owner and security service." My phone buzzes with the notification. Vanessa spins on me. "You changed the locks last week." I nod toward the discreet security cameras at the roofline. The police have already been notified of possible trespassing. Standard security protocol. Something in her expression fractures, the polished exterior giving way to raw entitlement. "You can't do this to us. We're family." "Family respects boundaries," I reply, surprised by how steady my voice sounds. My phone rings. The security company. "Right on schedule." I answered briefly, confirming the alert was triggered by my sister, not an actual intruder. When I hang up, Vanessa has retreated to the moving truck. Through the windshield, I can see her gesturing wildly to Mark, who sits slumped in the passenger seat. Ray approaches, hard, hat in hand. "We're ready to begin when you are, Miss Morgan." "Let's proceed." I sign his clipboard. The interior timeline is tight. I'd like the master bedroom suite demolished by Thursday. "We'll make it happen." He hesitates. Your sister seems determined. Should we expect interference before I can answer? The moving truck engine roars to life. Instead of turning around, it lurches forward, bypassing the sawhorses, by veering onto the lawn. It stops 20 feet from U.S. tires, crushing ornamental grasses I'd planted last spring. The movers jump out, lowering the ramp at Ray's command, and begin unloading furniture. Vanessa emerges from the truck's cab, triumphant smile fixed on her face. "Since you won't be reasonable," she calls, "we'll just have to store things here temporarily. The yard will work fine until you come to your senses." The first piece, an ornate mahogany dresser that once belonged to our grandmother, thuds onto my lawn. Mark follows behind the movers, looking miserable but compliant. I don't move. Instead, I reach for my phone and dial a number saved yesterday. Lakeside Auction House. Yes, this is Gabrielle Morgan. I maintain eye contact with Vanessa as I speak. "Yes. Please proceed with pickup. As discussed. Donate all proceeds to the foster youth program." Vanessa freezes confusion, replacing triumph. "They'll arrive within the hour." I end the call with a nod. "Which auction house?" Vanessa snaps. "The one I contacted yesterday." After dinner, I motion toward the furniture piling up on my lawn. I had anticipated this exact move. Ray clears his throat. "Miss Morgan, we need to start demolition. Should we work around the furniture issue?" "No need." I hand him the final authorization forms. Everything left outside the storage sheds is being cleared today. The rest of the day unfolds just as planned. Construction begins while the lawn fills with discarded furniture. Vanessa shifts between rage and tears until Mark persuades her to leave, vowing they'll return tomorrow to straighten out this misunderstanding. 2 days later, on Wednesday, I get the call I've been expecting. I'm standing in what used to be the master bedroom, watching workers strip the last of the drywall to bare studs. "You heartless bitch." Vanessa's voice explodes through the phone. The auction truck took all the heirloom furniture. I step outside to hear over the construction noise. "Then it should never have been abandoned on property you don't own." Her shriek rattles through the line, but something in me has shifted. The calm I feel isn't forced, it's natural now. The boundary I've drawn feels right. Necessary. "I've kept all the records," I tell her once her rant dies down. Photos of the furniture left on private property. Security footage of attempted unauthorized entry. The police report documenting trespass warnings. The silence on her end says everything. I've already informed the property management company about who's authorized to visit. I continue, steady. "You're welcome to arrange an appointment to view the renovation progress, with proper notice. Mom and Dad are coming to talk some sense into you." She finally snaps, her voice brittle with fury. I glance at my watch, then at the construction foreman, who flashes me a thumbs up. Perfect. Let them witness exactly what they'll never take from me. I hang up just as workers swing sledgehammers into what was meant to be Vanessa's master suite. The wall caves, sunlight pouring through the exposed frame. For the first time in years, I breathe deeply here. The air carries sawdust and promise, not obligation. The security system chimes, vehicles approaching. I step out onto the porch, building plans in hand, and watch as my parents' car pulls up beside the heavy equipment. The demolition of the bedroom walls finishes with impeccable timing. I stand tall, sunlight streaming through bare wooden beams, ready to meet them on my own terms. I straighten my hard hat and adjust my goggles, a smile tugging at my lips. "Miss Morgan, where do you want the drywall stacked?" calls Rico, the foreman, from the east wall. "Over by where my grandmother's antique sideboard used to be," I reply, pointing. "And cover it. Looks like rain." Mom and Dad step from their car like cautious explorers on foreign ground. Dad's expression hardens as he takes in the construction equipment scattered across what used to be a pristine lawn. Mom's hand flies to her mouth as her eyes sweep over the property. "What have you done?" Dad's voice cuts through the yard, almost competing with the circular saw, whining through a piece of lumber nearby. I move toward them with steady steps, work boots crunching against the gravel. "I told you, a 9-month renovation. Everything down to the studs." They trail behind me through the front door, and their steps falter at the threshold of what was once the living room. Exposed beams stretch overhead, the fireplace gutted, and the subfloor bare where polished hardwood once shone. "This is madness," Mom whispers, her words nearly drowned out by the contractor's radio blasting classic rock. "You've ruined it." "I'm rebuilding," I correct her. "My vision, my timeline." Dad surveys the stripped space, his businessman's mind already calculating. "Gabrielle, this is too much. Stop now, and we can still make arrangements for Vanessa's family." I laugh, the sound bouncing off the naked studs. "That's not happening." His face clouds with a familiar storm. "You've never understood family duty. I can cut you out of the will entirely." The threat lingers. 6 months ago, it would have gutted me, sent me scrambling to earn his approval. Now I only nod. "You already did," I reply evenly, when I refused to co-sign Mark's doomed real estate venture last year. Mom gasps, and Dad's face floods with color. Vanessa had already let it slip during one of her pleas for help with their down payment. I explain. Picking up a set of blueprints from a makeshift table said you'd already rewritten the will to protect family assets. Her words, not mine. Mom's eyes fill with tears. The manipulative kind that once would have unraveled my resolve. "Gabrielle, please think of the children." "I am," I reply, turning toward Rico. "How is the children's reading nook coming along?" "The built-ins are framed," he answers, nodding toward the far corner. "Should look just like your designs." I watch my mother's confusion bloom on her face. "For the foster youth program." I explain, the same one that received the $12,000 from the furniture auction. Dad's eyes narrow. "Vanessa said you sold family heirlooms. Furniture left on property that wasn't hers." I correct him. "The auction house documented everything. Very public process." Mom clutches Dad's arm. "Charles, she's made us look terrible. People are talking." I pull out my phone, opening social media to show them Vanessa's deleted posts about her homeless family and the subsequent community response, praising my donation. Public shaming doesn't work when people know the truth, I say, returning the phone to my pocket. Dad straightens his shoulders, shifting to negotiation mode. "Let's discuss options. Then perhaps we can reach a compromise." I note the change from demands to discussion progress. However small, the renovation continues as planned. I reply, gesturing toward a worker carefully removing old family photos from a wall scheduled for demolition tomorrow. "But I'm willing to help Vanessa find alternative housing within her budget." Mom's tone shifts from entitled to cautiously respectful. "That would be appreciated." My phone buzzes with notifications. Security company confirming no further unauthorized attempts since last week. Auction house sending official donation receipt for tax purposes. My contractors sharing progress. Photos of the back decks. Transformation. As we stand amid the skeleton of my home, I noticed Dad studying the blueprints with reluctant admiration. He recognizes good planning when he sees it. Have you ever had to reinvent a space to reclaim it? I ask them both. Sometimes you need to strip everything back to build something authentic before they can answer. My phone rings. Mark's name appears on the screen. Excuse me, I say, stepping away. I need to take this. I hear Mark's voice quieter than usual. Gabrielle, I wanted to apologize for my role in all this. I should have spoken up outside the window. I see my parents walking back to their car, their posture less rigid than when they arrived. Sometimes the hardest foundations to pour are the ones that support our boundaries. I tell him, but they're the most important. Behind me, workers continue transforming my sanctuary. One nail, one beam, one boundary at a time. The formal dining room glows amber and evening light, casting long shadows across my parents' Persian rug. The table setting feels like déjà vu, same burgundy napkins, same crystal glasses, catching light in prismatic bursts. Same tension hanging in the air like a storm front. 3 months into my lake house renovation, I accepted this dinner invitation, knowing exactly what awaited me. Your mother made her special pot roast, Dad says, carving the meat with practiced precision. His voice carries that forced casualness of a man about to negotiate something difficult. Just like you always liked. It smells wonderful, Mom. I smooth my napkin over my lap, noticing the extra place settings. Are we expecting company? Mom and Dad share a look I know all too well. The same silent exchange that used to come before countless childhood disappointments. We thought it would be nice to have a family dinner. Mom places a generous serving onto my plate. It's been hard with everyone scattered. The doorbell rings. Dad's shoulders ease a little. Reinforcements have arrived. I'll get it, Mom says, patting Dad's arm as she passes. As soon as she leaves, Dad leans in. Gabrielle, I've been talking with the Hendersons. You remember John, my golf partner. He thinks what you're doing is rather harsh. I take a slow sip of water. I wasn't aware the Hendersons had a stake in my property. Community matters, Gabrielle. People talk. Yes, they certainly do. I set my glass down carefully. They talked when I dealt with the flood damage alone 3 years ago. Not a single offer of help. Then guess. Dad's replies cut off by voices from the foyer. Mom returns with Pastor Williams, our family's longtime spiritual advisor, and, not coincidentally, someone whose opinion I've always valued. Gabrielle, so wonderful to see you. Pastor Williams settles into the chair beside me. Your mother mentioned you've been quite busy with renovations. Significant ones. I nod, recognizing the setup. My parents have always been skilled at assembling what looks like an impartial jury. Mom serves Pastor Williams before taking her own seat again. We were just talking about family harmony, weren't we, Charles? Dad nods, slicing his meat with surgical precision, and how certain choices might still be reconsidered for the greater good. The children miss their aunt, Mom adds, her voice slipping into that register she saves for emotional leverage. Family needs to stick together, especially in hard times. I realize my fingers have tightened around my fork. The old pattern is unfolding exactly as I knew it would. The united front, the subtle accusation, the unspoken suggestion that I'm the one who needs correcting. Speaking of family, Dad continues, the Fosters had to help their daughter's family last year. Took them in for 8 months during their renovation disaster. Barbara said it brought them closer. The pressure builds carefully, each example, each quiet comparison, a reminder of what good families do. I reach into my handbag, drawing out my tablet. I'd like to show you something, I say, keeping my voice steady as I unlock the screen. Since we're discussing renovations, the first photo appears. My lake house, scaffolding wrapped around it like a protective cage. I swipe, revealing the interior stripped down to the studs, workers in hard hats and protective gear moving through the space. This was day 1. I continue swiping, narrating the renovation's progress in order. And this was just last week. Pastor Williams leans in, genuinely intrigued. My goodness, what a transformation. The most recent photos show rooms completely unrecognizable from what they once were. The original 4-bedroom layout has been reimagined into a modern 3-bedroom with a private office overlooking the water. Floor-to-ceiling windows now frame the lake. Reclaimed oak beams stretch across vaulted ceilings, matching the custom hardwood floors beneath. That's the master suite, I explain, pointing out the room that used to feature prominently in Vanessa's plans. The balcony was a structural challenge, but every dollar was worth it for that sunrise view. Mom's fork pauses midair. It's completely different. That was the point. I swipe again, opening a different folder, this time a project timeline. Here's the schedule, drafted 5 months ago, and here's the property assessment showing the projected value increase, nearly 40% above the old valuation. Dad's expression shifts, the businessman in him clearly recognizing a sound investment strategy, whether he admits it or not. This was never about shutting Vanessa out, I say, keeping my voice steady as I set the tablet down. It was about carrying out my own vision, plans I'd made long before her sudden housing crisis appeared. I pull up another folder. I also kept some older photos you might recall. Or maybe not, since you were all on that Caribbean cruise at the time. The storm damage images fill the screen. My lake house with water halfway up the first floor, furniture drifting, walls already streaked with mold. $28,000 in emergency repairs. I continue displaying receipts and contractor invoices. Here are the text messages from that week. The ones where I asked for help and was told everyone was too busy. First things that I find spoken. Mom's face peels. Dad studies his plate with sudden interest. Respecting boundaries isn't cruelty. I say into the silence. It's adulthood. Dad's shoulders sag slightly, a gesture so subtle I would have missed it before. For the first time, I see him not as the family patriarch, but as a negotiator who recognizes his position has been outmaneuvered. I should have helped with those repairs, Mom says quietly. No qualifications, no expectations attached. Perhaps the first genuine apology I've ever heard from her. The front door opens, breaking the moment. Vanessa sweeps in, cheeks flushed with righteous indignation, clearly expecting to find the usual united front against me. Her stride falters when she observes the tableau, our parents' reflective silence. Pastor William's thoughtful expression, my tablet displaying evidence rather than emotion. What's happening? She asks, confusion, replacing confidence. Mom said we were discussing the lake house situation. We were. I confirm, standing and gathering my things. I've shared my renovation progress. When it's complete in 6 months. You're all welcome to visit as guests with advance notice. I extend a formal invitation card for my purse. The housewarming is scheduled for March 12th. I hope you'll all attend. The question hangs unspoken as I walk toward the door. Who will come, and on what terms? I drive away with surprising calm, watching my parents' house recede in the rear-view mirror ahead. Twilight settles over the lake, and I picture my property glowing with construction lights. Transformation continuing regardless of who witnesses its completion. For the first time in my adult life, I feel neither guilt nor obligation. Only the quiet certainty that peace doesn't require surrender. Sometimes it demands a stand. Sunlight dances across the lake, casting diamond reflections on my bedroom ceiling. 6 months have passed since that Sunday dinner ambush, and my lake house transformation is finally complete. I cradle a mug of coffee between my palms, savoring the morning stillness on my balcony. No voices demand my attention.
No obligations.
Crowd my thoughts. Just the gentle lapping of water against the dock and birdsong from the old oak tree I refused to remove during construction. Below me, the professional kitchen gleams with copper accents and reclaimed wood countertops. Last weekend I hosted friends for dinner. Serving wine and glasses I selected not inherited. Laughter echoed through rooms once designated for Vanessa's children. The exercise room occupies what would have been her master suite. My daily reminder that self-care isn't selfish. My phone chimes a text from Rachel, my contractor-turned-friend. Still can't believe we pulled this off. Best project ever. I smile, remembering her stunned expression when I first outlined my vision. You want to gut a perfectly good house? She asked. Now she brings potential clients to see my place. With permission. Always permission. The doorbell interrupts my reverie through the security camera. I spot my parents standing awkwardly on the porch. Dad shifting his weight between feet. Mom clutching a small plant. Their first visit since the renovation completed. I press the intercom. Come in, I say, unlocking the door remotely. It's open. They enter tentatively, So different from the Sunday dinner where this all began. Dad's eyes widen at the soaring ceilings. Mom's gaze fixed on the dining table, positioned exactly where Vanessa once claimed space would be perfect for the kids' homework. Gabrielle, this island dad, trails off at a loss for words.
For perhaps the first time in his life.
Remarkable. Mom finishes setting her piece, offering a small jade plant on the side table. Truly remarkable. I serve coffee and handcrafted mugs, watching them catalog changes. Mom lingers by the photo while images of my hiking trips, architectural projects, and sunset swims. No family portraits anywhere. This is who I've become. I answer silently to the question she doesn't ask. Dad's sharp businessman's eye scans the details, nodding at the craftsmanship. You've built something extraordinary here, he admits, unknowingly echoing Mom. The recognition lingers, bittersweet, growth that only distance made possible. Later, I pull together an impromptu gathering. Rachel arrives with champagne. The security company sends a basket with a card addressed, "For our most respectful client." The auction house owner stops by, proudly showing photos of the community center furnished with Vanessa's discarded heirlooms. The director of the foster youth program cried when we delivered everything, he tells me, said it was the first time they'd ever had a matching set of furniture. My phone buzzes with a text from Vanessa. I'm sorry about the furniture.
Can we talk?
I pause, then type my reply with care. Dinner next month. Bring dessert. No talk of moving in. The boundary preserves both safety and possibility. After the guests leave, Dad lingers by the door. Respecting boundaries isn't cruelty. It's maturity, he says thoughtfully, repeating my own words back to me. His acknowledgement feels like the final renovation, complete at last. Evening falls as I walk to the dock. The sunset shifts the sky from gold to violet, rippling over the water. My reflection stands steady against the changing canvas above. Peace isn't the absence of boundaries, it's honoring them. And in this place, shaped entirely by my own vision, I've found both.